Further debate? The member for Thunder Bay Superior North.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the member from Richmond Hill for this bill. As I understand the bill, the hope is that proclaiming a week of awareness would promote proactive conversations between families, friends, and caregivers about future arrangements for seniors. And I agree, getting people to sit down together amidst their busy lives and figure out wills, powers of care, powers of attorney, where and how people want to live or would like to live. Like if you're already a senior like myself, I've got to be figuring these things out. So in principle, I think this is a good thing. The conversations are challenging, but I would like to note that organizations like Hospice Northwest in Thunder Bay have actually been doing work on this for many years by providing easy-to-use materials that guide a person through the process of doing all of this planning. And in fact, I attended an event they used to hold regularly, pre-COVID, called Dialogues. That's D-I-E-Alogues. The title was tongue-in-cheek, but all the surrounding topics were taken very seriously. I left there with all the information I need to plan my own future as I age. Now, have I sat down and filled out the paperwork? Not yet. So perhaps setting aside a week to promote the need to do these things before it's too late could be a very good thing. So I think after this bill passes, and of course we know it will pass, we will have a Seniors Month and a Silver Years Awareness Week. Two acts that are largely symbolic, but if they raise awareness in a good day, that's a good thing. So I'm assuming that, that there will also be a publicity campaign to promote Silver Years Awareness Week, and I would like to suggest that the campaign be broadened to address the following issue. Vula's Law. In 2021, this House unanimously voted in support of Bill 129, which sent a message that the misuse of the Trespass to Property Act that keep loved ones away from family members in care homes must stop. However, in spite of the acceptance of this motion, the Trespass to Property Act is still being used illegally to restrict access to visitors of people living in retirement homes, group or long-term care homes, and even in private homes. The result is the forced separation of vulnerable adults and disabled children from their caregivers. Indeed, the unlawful use of the Trespass to Property Act continues to create a palpable culture of fear and silence among people living in care and with their family members. That fear is palpable. The government knows this problem is ongoing, that there are many, many people being illegally barred from visiting their loved ones, but it continues to refuse to do anything about it. There's another issue also that needs to be clarified. On May 5th, 2023, I wrote to the former Minister of Long-Term Care about the misuse of the Trespass to Property Act to ban people from visiting their loved ones in care settings. He referred at the time to the Residents' Bill of Rights that, in theory, would solve the problem. Now, we know it hasn't solved the problem because it's going on and on and on. But also in his response, he implied that the health and safety of staff was grounds for issuing trespass to the visitors of care facility occupiers. But this is not correct. In accordance with our court's decisions, the Occupational Health and Safety Act is not a valid ground for trespass. So to be clear, as per our court's rulings, the Trespass to Property Act and the Ontario Health and Safety Act have no application in determining who can and cannot visit someone living in care. In fact, nowhere in the Trespass to Property Act is health, safety, or behaviour an enumerated ground to trespass. Unsafe or dangerous behaviour by the general public is governed by our criminal code and enforced by the police. The removal of a person visiting a home can be done so pursuant to the disturbance of the peace, mischief, or a peace bond is also an option. Again, the only person who has the right to decide who should or should not be allowed in their living space is the occupier. So the issue is that these abuses of the Trespass to Property Act are continuing quite routinely. Seniors and others in care are being forcibly isolated, and too many police officers are mistakenly upholding the illegal use of the law. The consequences are deadly. People are forcibly isolated. Those banned are forced to take on expensive court proceedings to receive a ruling that will come inevitably that the trespass order is not valid. Again, the only person with the right to decide who and who cannot enter a person's home is the occupier of the unit, whether it is a single room in a house or a unit in a congregate living space. In the most recent years, in the most recent case I am working on, a son who was visiting his mother every single day has been blocked for 90 days from visiting with her and is having to hire lawyers to prove to the police and the facility that they are in the wrong and are in fact breaking the law. When police are ignorant of the correct use of the law, they themselves become vulnerable to charges of breach of trust. We are not waiting for action. Together with other advocates fighting against the abuse of seniors and the abuse of people with disabilities, we have launched a campaign with police to change their training in order to protect police from the consequences of the misuse of the Trespass to Property Act, and, most importantly, to prevent others from using it as a weapon to stop criticisms of the level of care being received in homes. So what I would like to see is, there undoubtedly will be some kind of public relations campaign that goes along with this bill. So let's broaden that campaign so that the people across the province understand the correct and incorrect application of the Trespass to Property Act, so that people are not isolated and punished for raising issues about the quality of care they are receiving.
Good idea.
So, a few other things that are of concern regarding seniors. I recently received a letter from Seniors for Social Action, and I will go into it in another occasion in more detail, but the biggest concern is the privatization of home care in that bill, with up to 30% of every public dollar going into profits for shareholders. We are in a time when many people cannot find a primary health care giver, a primary health care provider. And I'm seeing more and more people forced to sign on to and pay annual fees. This was not supposed to happen, but it is happening now routinely. And everybody is worried about it, and certainly seniors are. Long-term care, privatization of long-term care. Well, yes, we see new homes being built, but they're all for profit. And we already know that that has not served our seniors well. Dental program, the seniors' dental program. Seniors get a tiny little increase, a bump up somewhere along the line in one of their government payments, and all of a sudden they no longer qualify for the dental plan. And that puts them in much worse position than before they got that little bump up. So it's really crucial. I hope that the Ministry for Seniors will work together with the Ministry of Health to actually change that threshold so that seniors are not punished for getting these minor increases to their incomes. Now, I'm going to end on a bit more of a humorous note. I see I actually have a few minutes. Well, I could talk a lot more. But no, I do have a couple things. I am going to end with something humorous, but I do remain concerned about the $50 million cut to the Ministry for Seniors and Accessibility. That became evident during the budget estimates, and I'm really concerned about what programs are being cut, and it makes me worry that the care of seniors is a low priority for the government. I know it's not a low priority for the Associate Minister and the Minister, but I worry that it is a low priority for the government as a whole. And of course, I'm remain disappointed that the government was unwilling to create the position of an independent seniors or older adults advisor as an independent officer of the legislature. But I'm going to go back just a little bit. So this morning, the Premier, in his first press conference in 40 days, I think, chose the moment to dump on bicycle lanes and cyclists. This was a very bizarre thing. He talked about somehow a war on cars. Now, the Seniors Ministry really wants to encourage seniors to be active. And we know we have also had the Moving Ontario Safely Act, which has been presented many times but never gotten through. We really could use that. Well, I'm a senior, and I ride my bike to the legislature in the morning and back to my apartment at the end of the day, and I use those bike lanes because I feel reasonably safe when I'm in those bike lanes. They're very, very important. This is part of me trying to keep myself active. And so I was surprised to hear the Premier somehow talking about bike lines and a war on cars in a conversation where he probably needed to be talking about the RCMP and other issues of more that were more pertinent to the moment, let's say. So in closing, I think this is a lovely bill, and I know that we will vote in support of it. I continue to worry that we're not seeing enough that is truly substantive, that can really change things materially for seniors who don't have a lot of means. And unfortunately, we know that many do not have means because they're in line at the food banks. And that's what I've been told by the people running food banks in my riding, that there's been an enormous increase in seniors coming for food. So I will end my discourse here. Thank the member again for your caring. I know how important this is to you. And I look forward to some kind of campaign that encourages these conversations and I hope also addresses the problem with the trespass to the illegal use of the Trespass to Property Act. Thank you.
Thank you.